So, is the textile industry becoming circular in the US? Are the G7 countries the best place to do research, or are BRICS better opportunities, at least in some areas? These are the issues for today. If you're into research and innovation, this episode is a shortcut. You'll see in this episode an interview with Julia Dietmar on AI, sustainability, scaling adoption, all in the textile industry. Julia built an AI platform to help people buy less, wear smarter, waste less, and she reminds us that the industry footprint, the textile industry's footprint is really big. She said if fashion was a country, it would be the third largest polluter. And potential returns are massive because she said around 30% of online fashion purchases are just waste going to garbage. So there's a potential to win a lot of money in this sector, in this industry. But we still can see that really far away. But she's working on changing that, and we go on talking about voting with our wallets, about digital passports, traceability, all kinds of signals to the industry. So I'll also show you where G7 countries lead and where BRICS surge, where you can win grants, and I'll show you where the AWTY curves are bending, so you can place better, smarter bets. We then dissect an open call, an EDF call for SMEs. We'll see the eligibility, fit, and in minutes, how to know if you should pursue it. There's one EU Defense Fund call. So stay in the episode if you want to make money with better call project matching. Save money by not chasing the wrong calls, save time with a clear checklist, and feel smarter about where the next funded pilots belong. If the maps are of interest to you, if the data breakdown is of interest to you, subscribe the Police Docs, the Transitions letter. Subscribe this newsletter and get the full report, the tools, the links, everything. So let's build something fundable now. So G7 and BRICS aren't exactly running the same race. And there's a huge gap, and that gap is exactly where your next funded project can be. The AWTY composite shows that. What is the AWTY index? Something I built with 150,000 data points that tracks 5 transitions: the green transition, the digital transition, the transition to a new globalization, the transition to a war economy, and the transition out of the housing crisis. Hopefully out of, I don't see that. They are equally weighted, and they let us know who's ahead and where the money and momentum are. So in the latest data, 2024, we can see that the advanced economies sit in the top. The EU, the US, they are global leaders overall. Japan and other advanced Asian economies are up there too. So basically, G7 holds the high ground. The BRICS are mid-pack on average, but they're split. They're not the same. China is upper middle and rising. India is around global average, but with a digital strength. Russia is declining in every possible sense, meaning of the word. Brazil and South Africa basically plateaus, and that divergence that means there are targeted partnering plays at hand. You can see we got here because there has been some convergence in basic digital access. There has been some plateauing in the classic globalization that has recently started to change. The green progress took off, but now has slowed down. And there's the explosion in the war economy since 2022. There's also a housing crisis building up along all of this. So these shifts rewire funding, timelines, take priorities. They will change. So what? What can you take from this? Well, four major conclusions. First, you must build where the gaps pay. So in the G7s, you can see there are persistent pain points like deep decarbonization or housing affordability. There's an opportunity. Second, you can pair the strengths of different blocks. You can get the top research and development capacities from the G7 countries and their regulatory pathways, and pair that with the scale and the manufacturing capabilities you get in some BRICS, and use that to strengthen your projects. That's a second implication. The third one, you got a budget for resilience. You got to pay attention to the war economy and go for dual use technologies or supply chain security. You got to be aware of that. Fourth, you must go where scores are moving, not just where they are high. So fast improving countries or sweet spots in the top countries. You got to see where there's movement. Change is an opportunity. How to find projects? You've got at least these six different angles you can use. You can mix green and digital. That's the typical recommendation, right? You heard this a lot. Grid optimizations, electrification analytics, carbon accounting infrastructures, everything is open in this area. Second angle, housing. There's a huge need for innovation in the housing sector. Affordability, retrofitted scale, data-driven planning. There's huge demand in not just in the EU but in any metropolitan area around the globe. There's a huge demand for housing, innovation in that area. Third angle, the dual use angle. All the projects that can be used in civil and in military uses are much more likely to be funded. From cyber AI sensing to logistics resilience, testing and certification, a lot to be done there. Number four, the digital public infrastructure is still an opportunity. There's a lot yet to be done in that area. In the e-government, in the personal identities, in the payments, a lot of opportunities there. And finally, six, the new globalization with nearshoring and partner diversification tools. There's still a lot to be done there. That was the fifth. Now, number six, climate security nexus. The energy autonomy, the grid stabilities. I can talk about grid stability here in the Iberian Peninsula, believe me. Critical materials traceability, a lot also to be done there. And the consortium you build is key to all this. So you got to anchor your consortium in a high-scoring G7 country, and that way you build credibility. And then add partners from fast-improving countries, and that can actually be from South Europe presently, and also add partners from countries with scale manufacturing or large user base. That will build impact for evaluators. And you can use the AWTY index as a due diligence filter to pick countries where your weakest pillar gets lifted. So there's one more tool you can use. Finally, if this is the big picture. If you want to look at maps and rankings and the raw data, if you want to make your own analysis, you just subscribe to the newsletter, Polisvox, the transitions letter, and get the full report. Just follow the QR code or the link in the notes and go there. And please feel free to share, to like, to comment, anything. So welcome back to InnovEU, the EU Project Chronicles. Welcome, Julia Dietmar, to the podcast. Thank you for being here. So please tell our audience, where are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I am based in California, Northern California.
Thank you very much for coming. And tell us a little bit about your organization and what's your relation, what's your interest in research and innovation?
Yes, so our our company is called Open Wardrobe, and it's a platform for mindful dressing. That's how I call it, platform for mindful dressing. And what it means, it basically allows people to do a couple of things, starting from either digitizing their wardrobe, and then from there they can use our tools to pre-plan outfits, to share with their stylists or their friends, to style each other. It's kind of a social platform. Or they can start with education. And education is more around understanding themselves in terms of their body shape, their coloring, and what suits them, what kind of clothes and silhouettes work best for them. And that allows them to be a lot more mindful when they put outfits together, when they shop, and when they decide what new to bring into their wardrobe. And the platform is AI powered. We're making it very easy for people to digitize and put outfits together and make those decisions. So that's what we're about. And this kind of started from my experience with my previous company, where we were building AI for retailers and apparel brands, specifically for personalization. And it was also done with generative AI before LLMs and before the big buzz.
Wow.
It was mostly done with image recognition and GANs, if you've heard about that technology, and kind of generating images of garments on people. So before, it was back in 2017, 2018. So by now it's old, but we were kind of ahead of our time.
That's quite interesting. You're talking about 2017? Is that what you said?
2017, yeah, but 8 years
you're
ago.
saying
Yeah.
it's old, so this
Yeah,
shows
yes, I know.
how fast things are changing. And
Correct.
for sorry for interrupting you, but
No,
I
no
can see
problem.
that the word AI comes out of your mouth frequently when you talk about your activity. So it's something that is in your area, but also you use very much a couple of words that make me think of the problems the the garment sector has with sustainability. It has quite a footprint.
Correct.
Do you think that AI will help in that area?
Yes, absolutely. I do think that, and then there are many different areas where AI can help, specifically for brands with supply chain, with optimization, traceability. There are lots of areas and lots of companies that are working to help with that. We are specifically focused on empowering consumers to make better decisions, and that's how our AI works. So the way we are helping with sustainability, and our mission is to help reduce number of garments that end up at landfills every year. And you probably have heard troubling statistics: 11.3 million tons of textiles are being thrown out every year. And fashion as a whole, if it was a country, it would be a third largest polluter. in the world, right? So
Whoa.
environmentally speaking, so it's very much in need of help with sustainable practices. But again, we are trying to empower consumers. There are lots of other solutions that are being developed specifically for the industry. And what we do is we basically do two things. One is, as I mentioned, education and a set of tools when you are making decision to buy something or not to buy, especially when it comes to clothing. Returns are a very big number when you buy them online, right? So I think the number is 30% of everything that is bought online is returned. And one of the biggest reasons is fit, right? It either doesn't fit you by size or it doesn't just suit you, okay? And we do not solve the size portion. Again, there are lots of solutions for that already. We are solving for, does it suit me? And we do it several different ways. One is when you are looking at something that you want to buy on any website, you can access your digital wardrobe that you made with Open Wardrobe and our AI from any website through our browser extension. And when you're looking at a sweater, let's say, that you are interested in, you can ask, show me how I can wear this, what I already own. And we start kind of giving you lots of ideas. And in the sustainability world, the number that's been floating around is 30. Meaning a garment to be considered sustainable needs to be worn on average or at least 30 times. And we do wear our clothes, especially women. Men are a little bit better than that. We wear it only 7 times on average.
7 on average?
7 times, yes. So in order to show you how you can wear this 30 times, we're kind of giving you this ideas of, okay, yes, you can wear it many, many times. That's one. And then the other one is we have this product called Style Blueprint, where you can go through a questionnaire and it kind of tells you, okay, these are the best colors for you, these are the best silhouettes for you, and so on and so forth. And again, you can basically look at something and decide, okay, does it suit me? Am I going to wear this? Because I'm going to love how I look in this color, so I'm going to love how I look in the silhouettes. And then you are less likely to return this item and more likely to actually wear it. So returning, obviously, like shipping carbon footprint. So we're trying to reduce that, and we're trying to help industry also.
Yeah, sure. Reverse logistics is really bad. It's really very difficult.
Exactly. And for clothing items, a lot of people don't realize it, but items that we buy online and then return, they don't very often, not always, but very often they don't get restocked. They just get thrown out. So that is kind of a double whammy there.
That's really waste. Yeah.
Yep.
But let me be a little bit provocative, because I've seen some people say that this kind of solutions that puts the burden on the consumer is wrong, morally wrong, and doomed to not be successful, because it should be the industry that should be responsible for reducing footprint and not the consumer. Do you think that our individual choices can save the planet? Let me put it this way.
I absolutely think that, yes.
Okay.
Yes, okay, let me elaborate a little bit. So I don't think that the responsibility should be put fully on the industry. Yes, industry should be responsible especially for the practices that they use to produce stuff, right? But as consumers, and we have a lot of data on that with our own users, right? With consumers, not everybody can afford to buy good quality and pay more money, right? That's one. And then especially younger generation, yes, they all say that they want to save the planet. They all say that they want to be sustainable. But when it comes to practice, cheap and cute wins every time. That's why, you see like companies like Zara and Shein. Look at Shein, right? On the images, their garments look really good. but they sell them like for $5, $10. So why wouldn't somebody just like, oh, I want to look good for my outing or whatever that is, right? And then it doesn't matter if it falls apart in one wash. So that's the problem. And what we're trying to do is we at least are trying to give people tools so that if they do choose to buy Zara or if they do choose to buy Shein, at least they can use it more than once or twice. And then even we have tools like we integrate with resale platforms. If you don't want it anymore, but maybe somebody else wants it, you can resell it. And then we make it super, super easy so that the main thing that you don't do is then throw it out. So, yeah.
I have two more questions on my mind, but let me start with this one. How do you apply, or do you see any potential in applying this technology you're using to other industries? And I don't mean shoes, that's quite obvious, but I mean industries like food, where the individual choices of the consumer can really make a difference.
Absolutely. And there are actually companies like that focus specifically on food. In my previous job, well, it was kind of 3 jobs ago already. So we worked on a product for food specifically that allowed people to plan their meals and plan the grocery purchases so that they would not have waste. So for example, if let's say you say on Monday, I'm going to make this recipe. And to make this recipe, this is the list of ingredients that's required. And you buy all of that. Chances are that you will have leftovers, right, from the ingredients.
Sure.
So let's say the recipe calls for, I don't know, half a cup of chicken broth, and then you bought a whole can, right? So what do you do with the rest? So the tool that we built, and I know that there are companies out there that are doing pretty similar things. They suggest you the next set of recipes for the same week that uses the leftover ingredients, so that you reduce the waste. And AI is super helpful in that. Obviously, one of the tools that's being very, very, very useful.
My other question was, how can these solutions scale? In this case, your company, but in that case, the solutions you're talking about for the food industry, how can this scale? And because if it's not used by, let's say, everyone, no, that never happens, okay? But let's say everyone, to simplify, if it's not used by everyone, it won't make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. Adoption is a huge thing, and that's why I think that one of the solutions is to tweak the solutions and make them usable by the retailers, right? So just imagine if you go into your favorite grocery store and then you're ordering online, or even you go in the store, maybe there is a web app or something that kind of helps you with this meal planning, or it helps you with giving you information. So it's to your earlier point is industry and the retailers in our case, they should be providing this kind of tools to the consumers, and that will increase adoption because companies like ours, to increase adoption among consumers, marketing costs are horrendous, right? It's very, very expensive. So we either find outside investors to make ourselves be aware of and make consumers be aware of us, or we just grow slow. So that's an issue, of course.
Tell us a little bit about the genesis of this company, your work, Open Wardrobe. Where the idea came from? How did it get started?
Yeah, so I've been working in retail tech for the last, 15 years. And the idea started when I was working on the company that built AI for retailers. And we, because it was all based on computer vision, and it was 2017, 2018, it kind of lent itself very well with apparel industry because, you analyze the visual elements of a garment in the picture, and then you make recommendations or you make personalized suggestions based on that. And when I was working with apparel brands, they were pretty much asking the same question, especially brands that were a little bit more on the luxury side. They said, well, we see customers maybe once a season, maybe twice a season, right? So we know what they buy from us, but we have no information about how they use the products, who else they buy from, what else they're doing, where else did they get their garments. And basically, they all wanted to understand the customer better. So that's how the initial idea came from. Where the initial idea came from, we decided that, okay, that would be super interesting to have this rich consumer insights and make that available to the industry so that they at least not stop overproducing, but reduce overproduction and produce what people actually want to buy. And that would solve several things. One would be, of course, the overproduction is not great because many garments that are produced are never actually sold. It's actually about a third of garments produced never sold.
And wow,
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then whenever you see discounts, right, for clothing, what it means is basically kind of correcting mistakes in assortment planning and inventory planning, right? So you overproduce, now you need to discount so that to get rid of it. So and then it would also help the brands with their bottom line. So they stop overproducing and they sell what they do produce at higher price because people actually want to buy it. So idea was really kind of idealistic because in theory, it sounds really great, but in practice, it's very difficult. It's very difficult for merchants even to kind of decide to produce less because I can sell what I don't have, right? And it's kind of difficult. So we decided to focus on the consumer instead, and through that kind of send better signals through to the industry. But we'll see. Our focus is still and our hope is still to work with brands.
I see. Yeah, but anyway, you are producing better information for brands because the information you get from consumers is based on them seeing themselves. So they make better choices and they give you better information.
Exactly.
Here in Europe, we hear a lot about the digital transition and the green transition. You're working with AI. More digital than that is difficult. And you're working very much concerned with sustainability. And that's also the green transition. My question is this just beginning? Or is it too late to get into the game? What's your feeling about where these transitions will go in the near future?
It's hard to say because we're seeing cycles, right? So it kind of goes, everybody gets super excited and then in practice it doesn't happen. And so we're seeing a lot of that. I think we're still in the early stages and it will probably level off in a few years. We're already kind of seeing consolidation of especially in my industry. So a lot of companies are becoming bigger and some smaller companies are fizzling away. So that's going to continue. And then with the industry, I think, especially in Europe, actually, because of the regulations that have been passed with traceability and the supply chain for apparel, I think it's getting a lot more transparent, and brands are being almost kind of forced into the sustainability game, so to speak, right?
Hmm.
Not everybody. So Europe is first. I'm not really seeing that in North America yet. We still see a lot of greenwashing, but people are trying to be more sustainable. Lots of upstarts in apparel. They are starting with sustainable practices. So I think North America is going to follow soon. And then, of course, maybe the rest of the world will kind of get there. But to answer your question more directly, I still think that we're not in the very beginning. We're going through growing pains right now, but it'll level off.
But there's still a lot to be done.
Yes, there's
Uh,
still a lot to be done.
I believe
Absolutely.
in that too. One other critic I hear a lot, and I hear a lot about this because in Portugal, the textile industry has a tradition. A lot of people work in this area. And the critic I hear a lot is that we have a lot of talk and good intentions about sustainability and making the textiles and the apparel industry sustainable. But then, in the end of the day, we manufacture everything in China, and God knows in what conditions. Uh,
Yeah.
is that changing, or is there a way to improve the control of the conditions that garments are made in? I don't know, not just China, but nowadays I buy clothes made all over Asia.
Hmm.
What's your view on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about cost, right? Like brands, at the end of the day, they're businesses. They need to make money. So if the cost of producing goods in China and other countries is much less than producing it in Portugal or producing it in the rest of Europe, of course they're going to do that. So the only thing that will help is what actually Europe is doing, is regulations and making traceability as part of business practices. So digital passports, I'm seeing a lot, especially in the garment industry, right? A lot of brands are creating digital passports that consumers can scan and understand exactly where the garment was made, how it was made,
Mhm.
under what conditions, how the cotton was grown, and stuff like that. So unless it's enforced and regulated, or made super cheap for businesses to adopt, it's not going to happen, right? It's just the reality of life.
So traceability can be big, but once again, it leads to the consumer decision, to the consumer choices. Uh,
Correct. Yes, absolutely. So at the end of the day, to your point, I mean, we as consumers have all the power to send certain signals to the industry. Do we, right? We
yeah,
all vote with our wallets, basically.
yeah, that's the best way to vote. Yeah, the
Yes,
best way to be understood.
that's
Um,
right.
Let me ask you this. What's your advice? What would be your advice? Let me just connect power here because I don't want to get have the computer go down. But my question is, what's your advice to someone who's thinking about uh, joining this game, thinking about starting developing some new product, new technology, starting a new company? What's your advice to someone who wants to start in this area?
Go for it.
Stay away from me.
No, go for it, because there are still lots of opportunities, right? I mean, a lot of companies that are in this game, they're solving one problem, or they have like one angle. So there's always different ways of looking at the problem. So I think there's still ton of opportunity there.
Okay. I want to thank you for your time for this interview. Is there any final message you want to end the interview with?
Well, I mean, the only thing is, like, when it comes to getting dressed and when it comes to apparel industry and us as consumers, we just need to remember that we have a lot of power when it comes to sending the right signals. So not just how we buy, but how we use what we buy and what we do with it. And that makes a lot of difference.
Thank you very much for the interview. I have to say that I was a little bit stressed with the number you mentioned. 7 times we wear each item on
In the
average
in
seven
in the
times.
Yes, in the Western world, let me just make that correction.
Sure.
And it's predominantly, the studies have been made with women's closets, right? Yeah, and younger generations. So Instagram is and social media, right? You want to be seen in something new. So yeah, 7 times. And I'm not necessarily blaming social media and all the influencer industry on that, but the value, especially in the last decade, maybe even 2 decades, that's been put on the value that's been projected by the industry is the value is on newness, not on quality.
Yeah, I see. It's I don't know if influencers, not that you mentioned that. I don't know if influencers could not have a role in the changes that we want from the consumer. But I don't think that will happen. Maybe they could start valuing when people repeat their choices. How do you say that in English? Repeat their dress.
Rewear it, I don't know, rewear
Rewear
it,
it, yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's already starting to happen. I'm already seeing that, actually. There are some influencers that promote less consumption. So there are some that do kind of challenges. I'm not buying anything new this year and I'm reusing my stuff. I'm even seeing celebrities being posted, oh, she wore this dress 10 years ago and then she wears it again, maybe some in a different way. So it's definitely starting to happen.
Let's hope so. I'm sure things will change. I don't know how, but I'm sure they will change. That always
Yes.
happens. Thank you very much, Julia, for this interview, and I hope to
Thank you,
see you
Fernando.
soon.
This call could unlock up to 6 million euros per project for innovative SMEs in defense. If you're an SME with tech that could cross into defense markets, listen closely. This is your chance to scale, diversify, and win big. The European Defense Fund wants SMEs to play a driving role in transforming research into deployable solutions. This call is non-thematic. You're free to propose innovations in any defense-relevant area, from digital tools to energy solutions, surveillance, or adapting civil technologies to hybrid warfare needs. Deliver rapid, cost-effective defense applications, introduce novel concepts and disruptive technologies, strengthen European supply chains and cross-border collaboration, create future market opportunities for SMEs inside defense ecosystems. This is about moving fast, adapting civil tech to defense, and positioning your SME inside supply chains that are shaping Europe's security future. Only SMEs may apply as beneficiaries or affiliates. At least 3 independent SMEs from 3 different eligible countries, EU or EDF associated. Projects must last 48 months and remain within eligible territories. Subcontracting is capped at 30%. Certain activities require backing from at least 2 member states, for example, design, prototyping, qualification, certification. Total call budget, 33 million euros. Max grant per project, 6 million euros. Funding is through lump sum grants with variable rates depending on activity. Studies, up to 100%. Design, up to 100%. Prototyping, up to 55%. Testing, qualification, certification, up to 80%. Bonuses exist for SME-heavy consortia, mid-caps, and PESCO projects. Opening the 18th of February 2025. Deadline, the 16th of October 2025, 17 o'clock, CET, Brussels. Evaluation, October 2025, April 2026. Grant agreement signed by the 31st of December 2026. If you're an SME with defense-ready innovation, this is a golden ticket. Build a cross-border SME consortium, aim for the 6 million euros ceiling, and get into Europe's defense value chains. For more details, visit the EU Funding and Tenders portal and search for call EDF 2025 LS Day Semi Ent.
Credits, author and host Fernando C. Gaspar, music Hugo Gaspar, Lisbon, Portugal, 2024. Reach us by email or DM.